In today's video, we're going to be doing a deep dive on the popular brand McoBeauty to find out how they're able to get away with duping high-end makeup products. McoBeauty is Australia's luxe for less, cruelty-free beauty brand that creates trend-focused makeup and beauty solutions for $40 or less. They are so incredibly cheap, y'all. I'm sure if you're on TikTok, in the beauty space at all, or just into makeup, you have heard of McoBeauty before. As they're a makeup brand that's best known for duping high-end makeup products for less, which causes a lot of people to have quite polarizing opinions on McoBeauty, with some people saying the brand is completely unethical and shouldn't be allowed, whilst others are saying in a cost of living crisis, dupes of their favorite items are welcome. But one thing's for sure, the number one question we all have when it comes to McoBeauty's dupe is this legal and how do they get away with it?
Genuine question. How is this legal? I understand duping things, but this is just straight up copying. Like, what? It kind of just blows my mind a little bit.
A product that's often questioned in the how on earth is this legal department is McoBeauty's dupe of Charlotte Tilbury's Flawless Filter Foundation. So this foundation retails for $70 Australian, but McoBeauty released a dupe of this foundation for only 35 Australian dollars, literally half the price. And they called it McoBeauty's Flawless Glow. And not only, of course, are the names of these products very similar, but the packaging, y'all, is so similar. If we have a side-by-side comparison of the two, they are almost indistinguishable, with the only difference being the diamond logo and the font used. Honestly, it's like a game to spot the difference. And according to Shelley, the CEO and founder of McoBeauty, their Flawless Glow foundation is probably the main product that's gone, I would say, close to the line when it comes to packaging. So how is this even legal? Well, McoBeauty's patent and trademark lawyer, Lee Mancini, recently sat down and did an interview with ABC News and explained how legally McoBeauty is doing nothing wrong, and it is so incredibly interesting. So he explained that in the world of beauty dupes, it all comes down to the brand's protected asset. As long as McoBeauty's product, which in this case is McoBeauty's Flawless Glow, doesn't infringe on any of Charlotte Tilbury's trademarks, they legally can dupe it with no issues.
I'm a patent and trademark attorney and IP lawyer. Let's start with the word flawless. Charlotte Tilbury does not own the word flawless. Charlotte Tilbury has a registration, from recollection, just off the top of my head, for Hollywood Flawless Filter. Those three words in combination. Using the word flawless is not an infringement of that trademark. That element is actually a registered trademark, the diamond. There's no diamond here. There's no CT. There's no trademark infringement.
And McoBeauty did have to be very careful here because Charlotte Tilbury has actually sued another brand in the past for duping them. As in 2018 when Aldi, of all places, but yeah, Aldi, came out with their own version of Charlotte Tilbury's Film Star Bronze and Glow palette. Now this palette retails for £49 and Aldi's version of this retailed for only £6 and was called the Broadway Shape and Glow. However, unlike with McoBeauty, Charlotte Tilbury was able to sue Aldi as they infringed on their copyright. And this is another example of like how McoBeauty is able to strategically get away with their dupe. Because remember how I said earlier that McoBeauty was careful not to use the diamond logo on their packaging as it was trademarked? Well, Aldi was not as careful. They used that on their packaging, which is protected under copyright by Charlotte Tilbury, as is the Stardust effect that was also on the tin of the packaging. So Charlotte Tilbury took them to court and they won, with the judge ruling that the copyrighted packaging had been mimicked and that Aldi was to cease selling these immediately. So as we see, McoBeauty is incredibly smart with what aspects of a product they do and what aspects they don't to ensure that they do not end up in any legal trouble. And with all of the duping that's going on, I always kind of wonder what like the brands that are being duped think about this. And Charlotte Tilbury has made a couple of comments. A spokesperson for Charlotte Tilbury has said in a statement that we know competitors often try but fail to copy our iconic product. And up until recently, that was pretty much the only response we'd been given about the whole McoBeauty completely duping their foundation until they released their recent marketing campaign. In this ad, they put their Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter into a copier, and instead of like, you know, printing a copy of the bottle, the copier print error, copy not possible, dupe not available. Honestly, it was a great marketing campaign. It got so many people talking about it and really works in Charlotte Tilbury's favor. Because although they didn't explicitly name McoBeauty, we can all assume that it's McoBeauty they are talking about. And McoBeauty themselves acknowledged that they did push the limit when duping Charlotte Tilbury's products, but that they did that intentionally so, which I kind of love. However, the reason that McoBeauty knows how to perfectly toe the line between what's legal and what's illegal is because in the past they have had some legal trouble. Their first lawsuit was in 2021 when the American cosmetic giant Tarte sued McoBeauty, alleging that McoBeauty was attempting to deceive their customers with MCo's dupe of the iconic Tarte Shape Tape, which is a concealer, has had a cult following for years and sells for $51 Australian, whilst McoBeauty Instant Camouflage and Contour Concealer is only $20 Australian. And when they launched this in 2021, they received their first lawsuit from Tarte. So Tarte alleged that McoBeauty had specifically attempted to deceive customers by using a specific chevron pattern on their gold lid, which is of course iconic for Tarte, like that is what Tarte is known for. Alleging that McoBeauty had copied the Shape Tape's packaging, Tarte alleged this design was way too similar to their own product and claimed that McoBeauty's concealer was misleading and deceptive in conduct and that it was in breach of the Australian consumer law. And this lawsuit was especially serious because Tarte was alleging that McoBeauty was making counterfeit products in order to deceive customers. Because in Australia, making dupes isn't illegal, but but making exact copies or almost exact copies is highly illegal, and Australia takes it very serious. The best example that I can use of this is a Chanel bag. In Australia, it's not illegal to make a similar design of a Chanel bag that doesn't have like the CC logo, but it is illegal to make a bag with the CC logo if you're not at Chanel, or with a slightly altered CC logo. And when I say Australia is strict on this, I mean it, because they've been known to custom stop people for having like fake items. This is why you've never seen me do like a DH Gate haul or anything on my channel, because it is really illegal here. So anyway, Tarte was alleging that McoBeauty was doing this, that they were basically copying their product and changing just enough to try and confuse customers, and that this was bordering on counterfeit items. So if they did end up going to court, the judge would have had to literally compare the packaging and basically decide that if a customer is walking down the aisles of a shop, are they going to pick up the McoBeauty product thinking that it's Tarte? And McoBeauty's defense on this topic I actually agree with, because they said that no one is going to Big W or Woolworths thinking that they're buying Tarte cosmetics.
Shopping in a Sephora or a Mecca versus a Woolworths or a Big W, they're completely different shopping environment. They know what $65 buys, and they know what ours buys.
So McoBeauty and Tarte ended up settling outside of court on confidential terms, meaning we don't know how much they ended up settling for. We don't know if McoBeauty had to pay Tarte or what happened, but we do know that McoBeauty changed the lid of their concealer from a chevron design to a pattern with a circular logo. And Shelley, the CEO and founder of McoBeauty, said that they did that quick smart. However, later that same year, 2021, McoBeauty was sued again, this time by a fellow Australian company, Chemcorp. Now, you may not know the name Chemcorp, but I promise if you're an Aussie, you will know their products, as they create the 1000-hour lashes, 1000-hour eyebrow dye, all things like that. I guarantee you've seen them. So when McoBeauty came out with their very own 2000-hour products, Chemcorp was, of course, not happy. And Chemcorp sued McoBeauty for being substantially identical and or deceptively similar to its trademarks, and claimed that McoBeauty was infringing on copyright because Chemcorp had trademarked the term 1000-hour. Now, at the time, McoBeauty of course denied these allegations and argued that this product was not misleading, as it had McoBeauty written clearly on it, which again, I do actually agree with. It does very clearly say McoBeauty. However, McoBeauty did end up changing their products and removing the phrase 2000-hour. And their lawyer told ABC News that this was a case of McoBeauty not realizing that the term 1000-hour was actually trademarked. They thought that this was just like a descriptive term used for the makeup and that it wasn't trademarked. Shelley, the owner of McoBeauty, has commented on this and said that she was happy to change the product, as honestly, it wasn't selling well, stating, in fact, we have 20,000 units of this product sitting in a warehouse right now. We didn't want to fight it. It wasn't a great product. And both parties again agreed to settle outside of court.
They never made it to court, and then we made sure that we buttoned up our IP and trademark process.
So in both the Tarte and the Chemcorp cases, McoBeauty did indeed change packaging. Is that an admission that you got it wrong?
No, well, I think in fact one of the cases, if I had have known what I've known now, I probably wouldn't have changed it.
So it was after these 2 consecutive lawsuits that McoBeauty really tightened up their trademark and IP process. In his interview with the ABC News, McoBeauty's lawyer actually explained what this process now is, and it is very interesting. So he said that he gets shown a product conception, and that he then looks at that and takes it away and conducts a lot of searches, including searching registered design databases, patent databases in both Australia and overseas, and tries to figure out what the original product maker has protected. And also, a lot of brands actually only trademark things in their main country. For example, a lot of patents are lodged in America, so by McoBeauty making their items and selling them in Australia, they are completely free to dupe these American products, as they don't have a patent in Australia. However, despite tightening up all of their legal practices, McoBeauty could potentially, and honestly it's kind of likely, have another lawsuit in their future, as they are expanding into the US market. Or they already have. They're there. It's like they're in the US. I'm sure you guys have been seeing it out and about everywhere. But in Australia, having lawsuits is incredibly rare, especially in the beauty industry, and it's even rarer for them to succeed in court. But America is a whole different story, as America is a lot more litigious. The idea of passing off as another brand is a lot more difficult and a lot more likely to lead to lawsuits, as these bigger brands in the US have a lot more money, and the US market is a lot bigger than the Australian market. As such, a lot of brands actually aren't too concerned if they're being duped in Australia. It's not that big a deal to them. There's not that many of us, but if they're being duped in the US, this major market, then they have an issue. And they have a lot more money to take these duping brands to court. Tarte, who as we know has previously tried to sue McoBeauty, has actually commented on McoBeauty being in America. I know, makeup drama. As Tarte told the ABC that as McoBeauty is expanding into the US, Tarte will continue to vigorously defend its right to all Tarte trademarks and designs. Many counterfeit and dupe products use similar packaging and do not guarantee the same sulfate, paraben, petrolatum, or formaldehyde-free formulation. These counterfeits and dupes could pose a potential risk to consumers who believe they they are purchasing products similar to Tarte. Now, if I was McoBeauty, I would be shaken in my boots. But clearly this is one of the many reasons that I am not CEO of a makeup company, because Shelley was not worried, saying that McoBeauty has a team of lawyers in the US, and any products that people will deem as a dupe, which clever wording there, I like it, have all been cleared by lawyers before they go to sell. And honestly, it seems as though McoBeauty has learned their lesson through their previous lawsuit and is taking the American market and its potential lawsuits very seriously, as not all of McoBeauty's products that are available in Australia are available in the state. In fact, one of their most controversial dupes, the Hydrate and Glow Ultra Dew Serum, which is of course a dupe of the Glow recipe serum, is not available for sale in the US. And I'm willing to guess that this is to do with the legalities of it all, and that perhaps they're not able to sell this dupe in the States because it's trademarked. But speaking of McoBeauty's founder, Shelley, she is a boss bitch. And one thing about me is that I love successful Australian women. Because love or hate McoBeauty, you cannot deny that it is a successful business. And this is not Shelley's first business. She actually launched her first business back when she was 21 years old, called Shelley's Model Management, which, as I'm sure you can guess, was managing models. And it was actually during this time that Shelley noticed a gap in the beauty market. She noticed that all of her models were wanting quick, affordable, and quality makeup products for women. So she listened to the models that she was working with and what they were looking for in their beauty items, explaining that like models are a hard nut to crack. They have the entire beauty world at their fingertips. So she knew that if she could create a product that they enjoyed using, she had struck gold. So in 2002, she sold Shelley's Model Management Group for $1 million and used this money to launch her very own makeup brand, ModelCo. Ha, you thought it was gonna be MCo, hey? But no, McoBeauty was not Shelley's first makeup business. It was actually ModelCo. I don't know if y'all remember ModelCo. They were a very successful makeup brand that even had a collaboration with Hailey Bieber, and they flew her out to Australia in 2016. Like before Road Beauty, there was the Hailey Bieber and ModelCo collab. But as I'm sure you can guess, McoBeauty ended up being an offshoot of ModelCo. And ModelCo is still around to this day, but if you go on their website, they just have like a direct link to McoBeauty. Sorry, McoBeauty is clearly the main one here now. So why did Shelley launch a second beauty business? Well, it's because she's a fabulous businesswoman, duh. As she stated, while I saw incredible success with ModelCo for 15 years, I saw a gap in the market for a new beauty brand that was accessible for all, good quality with accessible prices. In 2016, McoBeauty partnered with Woolworths for the launch, and by 2020, they were Woolworths' top-selling beauty brand. Can you tell I'm a bit of a Shelley stan? I just love to see Australian women winning. Now that we know the background of McoBeauty and their previous lawsuits, and just how exactly they are able to legally dupe these products without getting into any trouble, except for those 2 lawsuits, let's discuss if dupes are a good thing, a bad thing, and the ethic behind duping brands. I feel like when people hear about McoBeauty duping popular makeup brands, their first reaction is that it's wrong. Like, that's awful, they can't do that. But duping products isn't necessarily a bad thing, especially in our current economy when we're all going through a cost of living crisis. A lot of people can no longer afford, can't justify, or simply just do not want to spend $75 on a foundation, with another $45 on a concealer, $50 on a bronzer. And McoBeauty is actually giving us access to these high-end products for a low price, and is allowing everyone, regardless of their budget, to be able to access high-quality makeup products. And I think that there's for sure a class conversation to be had here. Is a certain element of people being so upset with McoBeauty producing dupes of high-end makeup products and democratizing beauty because they enjoy being able to afford the product that others can't? And is it in some ways sometimes this kind of like elitist us versus them energy? Because I do think that sometimes on TikTok when I see people talking about how they don't like McoBeauty, it does come across as very elitist. A lot of people, and a like growing amount of people, are unable to spend money on makeup anymore, let alone a lot of money. And I believe, and so does McoBeauty, that in this economy, we still deserve to feel pretty and have good quality product. Shelley herself even said, we're doing it because our customers can't afford to spend $100 on foundation and $60 on concealer these days. Which I completely agree. I don't think that them duping these items isn't necessarily a bad thing. Shelley goes on to say, we're fast fashion but for beauty. Look at what Zara does. They're duping Balmain, etc. We're doing the same. Customers want to look, feel, and touch what they can't afford. The brand is all about luxe for less and providing products at a luxe for less price. And Shelley's raised a very good point here. Why is it that when clothing brands create dupes of high-end items, we have no issue with it, but when a makeup brand does it, we have an issue? It could perhaps be because we feel more personal about makeup. It's arguably a more personal choice than like buying a new sweater or buying a pair of shoes. It's something that you're going to be applying to your face every single day and how you present yourself to the world. So people could feel more passionately about makeup because of this. It could also be because we've not really seen this in the beauty space before. Of course, dupes have existed for a long time. McoBeauty is one of the first brands to dupe items with their whole chest, and honestly, I respect them for that. They're not trying to lie. They're not trying to be like, oh, perhaps it's similar to this item. They're like, nah, we duped it. It's a very similar product for cheaper. You want it? And I'm like, yeah, babe, I do. And I know that we don't like to discuss this point, but I do have to bring it up again because I think it's important and relevant to this conversation. And that's is it a classism discussion again? Because why is it that we're more than happy to buy a Chanel bag dupe from Zara, but it's frowned upon to buy a Charlotte Tilbury dupe from McoBeauty? It could be because buying a $10,000 bag from Chanel versus a like $100 bag from Zara feels worlds apart, and only a small percentage of people can actually afford the Chanel bag. So like we justify it to ourselves that, oh, it's okay, it's fine to buy a dupe of that. And because in the beauty world where the Charlotte Tilbury is only $70 and the McoBeauty is $35, since it's only a small difference, people seem to think that this is not okay. But the reality is that nowadays for a lot of people, these $70 foundations are just as unattainable as a $10,000 Chanel bag. In a world where $100 does not even cover your groceries for a week, a $70 foundation is just like completely out of the question for so many people, myself included. And McoBeauty is doing us a solid by giving us a very similar product for $35. And I really think that there is a classism conversation / issue there with people not liking that you're able to get luxe for less. And my generation, Gen Z, perfectly reflects this like lack of funds. Big makeup brands are actually becoming increasingly annoyed at Gen Z because, you know, our grandmas would usually just like stick to one brand, and that is the only brand that they would ever buy, and these big makeup brands would have a customer for life. Gen Z doesn't do that. We shop around for the best deal. We swap and change between different brands and are more than happy to buy dupes. And I think this is for two reasons. One, we've got no money. I mean, the economy is so bad. Brands really can't expect us to stick with them when they are hiking up their prices constantly. And number two, there are a lot more options these days than there used to be. I think as well that McoBeauty does really well to market towards Gen Z. Instead of, as many brands have done lately, just increasing their prices and complaining that Gen Z isn't shopping with them anymore, McoBeauty is filling that gap. They're saying, hey dolls, we got this item for less, you want it? And it's working. McoBeauty is on track to make $270 million this year, which is a 300% growth from last year. They haven't been affected by this cost of living crisis. All of their products are under $40. And they've also said that their Extend Lash Mascara is sold every 39 seconds. So they are absolutely thriving. But speaking of their Extend Mascara, which as a side note, I do really love and I'm always wearing. I'm literally wearing it right now. But a question that I and a lot of people have had is, well, what happens when McoBeauty is duped? How would they like it? And according to Shelly, they have been. As Shelly said, that their popular mascara has been duped by another retailer. However, she declined to say who it was. I, of course, am nosy and did some digging and believe that it's e.l.f. that actually copied McoBeauty or duped McoBeauty with their lash extender. So what was McoBeauty's response to this? Shelly said that she has no problem with people duping McoBeauty, and she's told others to go for it, saying obviously it's drawn a lot of attention because people want to save money, which I love because I guess they can't like make their entire business off duping other brands and then get mad when they're duped. Like, you can't do that. So as I'm sure you can tell, I do love McoBeauty and I'm completely on board with their duping habits. However, while I believe it's totally fine to dupe Charlotte Tilbury and Tarte, these like multi-million dollar businesses, I do not agree with duping small businesses. Iris Summit, God, that's a hard name to say, like a tongue twister, but she is the founder of the Quick Flick, which I'm sure you guys would have heard of. It's an eyeliner pen.
Years ago, and she secured what's known as a mini patent, but soon found out this provided little protection.
Patents only protect you to a certain degree. People can also very easily tweak designs. It's gotten so far to the point we have people making videos using what they think is a Quick Flick stamp, tagging us, but then I zoom in and I can see, the logo's slightly different.
And unfortunately, multiple businesses have duped this small business's Quick Flick, and McoBeauty is one of them. And this would of course be devastating to be a small business and be ripped off by these bigger companies. And ABC actually asked McoBeauty's Shelly about this. Not about this case in particular, but about how McoBeauty sits with the ethics of duping.
Are you worried that you're trading off and ripping off small business owners?
No, I'm not worried that we're ripping off small business owners.
Like, how do you sit with the ethics of duping, if that's the case?
I can't comment on, we run our own brand, we do our own thing. It's not about deep pockets, it's about providing customers with what they want.
So whilst I love McoBeauty and their dupes, I personally believe that they should only be duping major companies with multi-million dollars, not small businesses. And it seems like lately they are moving down that path of only duping major companies. But another major positive to McoBeauty's dupes that non-Australians probably don't realize is that in Australia, we actually can't access a lot of makeup products. It is so annoying, you guys. So our beauty market is relatively small compared to America. And as such, we're often left waiting months, if not years, for makeup products to be available in store. For example, this is going to blow your mind if you're not Australian, but Glossier only opened up in Australia 2 months ago. I know, crazy, hey? And then when these brands do finally come to Australia, they are a lot more expensive than they are in the US and can even be hard to access because these brands usually just go to a Mecca or Sephora, and whilst there are a lot of them, they're not as easily accessible as a Woolworths, which is where McoBeauty is sold, because since Woolworths is one of our big supermarkets, they are absolutely everywhere. So McoBeauty's really made a lot of these like popular makeup products accessible to Australians because we just simply do not get them otherwise. Even if it is a dupe, we'll take what we can get. So McoBeauty has worked really hard to become one of Australia's top selling makeup brands and democratizing beauty. And I truly believe that as long as they don't dupe small businesses, they are doing no harm. I mean, they're making beauty accessible for everyone, or as they say, luxe for less, which I love. But it will be interesting to see how they navigate the US market and the rest of the world, as Shelley says that after the US is conquered, which they've pretty much done, Europe is next. But overall, I love McoBeauty. Thank you guys so much for tuning into my deep dive on McoBeauty today. I love doing deep dives like this and just get all up in there. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to my channel because I upload new videos every single week. Also, whilst you're there, be sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok as I post there every single day. I will, as always, have my sources linked down below. And if you're wanting to hear more about McoBeauty, I found Stylish's podcast about them really helpful for this video. So if you're wanting to hear more, I would definitely recommend checking them out. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I love you so much, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye. Mwah.